The spotlight surrounding the British royal family rarely fades for long, but in recent days the conversation has intensified once again. At the center of the debate is Meghan Markle, whose actions and public image are once more being scrutinized by commentators and royal observers. For years, critics have argued that Meghan has had a complicated relationship with media attention. While she and Prince Harry have frequently spoken about the pressures of the press and the need for privacy, some analysts believe that Meghan has also shown a clear comfort with public visibility and celebrity culture. That perception resurfaced this week after commentators began circulating old footage from earlier in Meghan's career. In the clip, she is seen engaging warmly with cameras and reporters during a media appearance, chatting casually with photographers and fans. The moment itself appears harmless, simply a celebrity interacting with the press during a promotional event. But critics claim it reveals something deeper about her relationship with publicity. According to some royal commentators, the footage challenges the narrative that Meghan has always been uncomfortable with media attention. They argue that, long before she became associated with the royal family, she appeared enthusiastic about the spotlight and the opportunities that media exposure could provide. Supporters of Meghan, however, push back strongly against that interpretation. They say the footage simply shows an actress promoting her work, something common across the entertainment industry. In their view, engaging with cameras and reporters during professional events is not evidence of a deeper contradiction. It is simply part of the job. Yet the debate does not stop there. Critics have also pointed to Meghan's past lifestyle blog, The Tig, as an example of how she built her personal brand long before entering royal life. The website focused on fashion, travel, and lifestyle topics and allowed Meghan to connect directly with an audience interested in her personal style and recommendations. To supporters, this demonstrates her entrepreneurial instincts and ability to build a media platform. To critics, however, it reinforces the argument that Meghan has always understood and embraced the power of public attention. The renewed discussion has emerged alongside a broader wave of media coverage surrounding the royal family. Much of that attention has been driven by continuing conversations about Prince Andrew and his past association with the late financier Jeffrey Epstein. Prince Andrew's connection to Epstein led to years of scrutiny, culminating in his decision to step back from official royal duties. Although he has largely withdrawn from public royal life, the controversy continues to resurface whenever discussions about the monarchy's reputation arise. Because of this ongoing controversy, some commentators have begun linking different royal narratives together, including Meghan's past remarks about her first encounter with Andrew. During the widely watched interview with Oprah Winfrey, Meghan described meeting Andrew for the first time and said she initially did not recognize him as a senior royal. That comment, while brief, later sparked debate among royal watchers about how familiar she had been with the royal family before meeting Prince Harry. Now, with renewed media attention on Andrew's past
but that's not being accepted because it won't work if you then go off and try and
once again. Whether those connections are meaningful or simply part of a broader cycle of royal speculation remains open to interpretation. What is clear, however, is that discussions about the monarchy and about Meghan Markle's role within that narrative continue to evolve. And as new footage, commentary, and speculation circulate online, the story surrounding the Sussexes and the royal family shows no sign of disappearing from public conversation anytime soon. As the debate surrounding Meghan Markle continues to circulate across media platforms, another layer of discussion has emerged, one centered on the silence coming from both Meghan and Prince Harry regarding the wider controversies surrounding Prince Andrew. In the modern media landscape, public figures are often expected to respond quickly to major controversies. Statements, clarifications, or expressions of concern are frequently seen as a necessary part of public accountability. For that reason, some commentators have questioned why the Duke and Duchess of Sussex have largely remained quiet while conversations about Andrew's past continue to dominate headlines. Critics argue that Meghan and Harry have often spoken publicly about social justice issues and have previously encouraged public figures to speak out on matters of importance. Because of that, some observers believe their silence on this particular controversy stands out. However, others say the expectation itself may be unfair. Supporters point out that the situation involving Prince Andrew is extremely complex and sensitive, involving legal allegations and personal reputations. From that perspective, remaining silent may simply reflect a cautious approach, rather than an attempt to avoid the issue. Another reason for their silence, some analysts suggest, could be strategic. Since stepping back from royal duties in 2020, Harry and Meghan have attempted to redefine their public roles outside the traditional royal structure. Their projects have focused on charitable work, media production, and advocacy initiatives. Because of that shift, they may choose to avoid commenting on controversies connected to the royal institution, particularly ones involving family members with whom they now have a distant relationship. Nevertheless, speculation continues. One element fueling further discussion involves comments made by attorney David Boies, who previously represented Virginia Giuffre, a woman who accused Prince Andrew of misconduct. In earlier interviews, Boies suggested that various individuals connected to royal circles could potentially have information relevant to broader investigations. Those remarks led some commentators to speculate about whether people who had interacted with royal figures, including Meghan, might one day be asked questions if additional legal developments were ever to occur. However, it is important to emphasize a key fact. There's been no widely reported legal order requiring Meghan Markle to provide testimony or reveal information related to Prince Andrew. Legal experts have repeatedly stressed that speculation about possible witnesses is not the same as an official legal action. As of now, no court documents or confirmed reports indicate that Meghan has been formally requested to provide evidence. Despite this, speculation often spreads quickly in online discussions, where commentary and interpretation can sometimes be mistaken for confirmed developments. Adding to the conversation are resurfaced images circulating online that allegedly show Meghan in social settings, with individuals connected to high-profile circles during the years before she met Prince Harry. Some commentators claim these images could indicate wider social connections within elite international networks. Yet even these claims remain debated. Without verified context or confirmation about the circumstances surrounding those photographs, conclusions remain uncertain. The broader issue, according to many royal analysts, is how quickly narratives can evolve when multiple controversies overlap. Stories about Prince Andrew, media discussions about Meghan Markle, and long-running tensions within the royal family often become intertwined in ways that make it difficult to separate speculation from confirmed fact. For audiences trying to understand what is actually happening, distinguishing between commentary and verified developments is essential. What remains certain is that the reputational challenges facing the monarchy continue to spark intense debate, and whenever those discussions return to the public stage, different members of the royal family, including Meghan Markle, often find themselves drawn back into the conversation. As the conversation surrounding Prince Andrew continues to generate headlines, the broader debate has gradually expanded beyond legal questions and into the realm of public perception. For many observers, the controversy has become a wider discussion about reputation, accountability, and how the
out
modern
of the area, and they don't want him to smile. I think that's a bit sort of, you can't stop somebody smiling, and actually he needs
commentary. Not necessarily because of direct involvement, but because of how narratives around the royal family often become interconnected. When controversies surrounding one royal figure resurface, attention frequently spreads to others who have been part of the institution's most public chapters. For critics of the Sussexes, the issue returns once again to the question of consistency. Some commentators argue that Prince Harry and Meghan have positioned themselves as advocates for transparency and social responsibility. Because of that, critics say the absence of commentary from the couple on certain royal controversies appears contradictory. Others, however, see the situation very differently. Supporters argue that the Duke and Duchess of Sussex stepped away from official royal roles precisely to avoid being tied to internal institutional controversies. From this perspective, commenting publicly on allegations involving other members of the royal family could reopen personal conflicts and further escalate tensions that already exist behind the scenes. It is also worth remembering that Prince Harry himself briefly referenced the issue of Prince Andrew in his memoir Spare. In that passage, Harry discussed the differences in how royal security arrangements were handled among family members, mentioning Andrew in the context of broader concerns about fairness and protection. However, That reference was limited and did not directly address the deeper controversies that have surrounded Andrew's past associations. As a result, the topic remains one that the Sussexes have largely avoided discussing publicly in detail. Another factor shaping this conversation is the role of media narratives themselves. Over the past decade, coverage of the British royal family has become increasingly polarized. Different outlets and commentators often present sharply contrasting interpretations of the same events. In some cases, the framing of a story can influence how audiences perceive the individuals involved. Headlines and commentary can sometimes amplify speculation, especially when they suggest connections that have not been formally established. This dynamic has been particularly evident in the way discussions about Andrew's past links to Jeffrey Epstein continue to intersect with broader debates about the monarchy's reputation. Even though Andrew stepped back from royal duties years ago, the issue remains one of the most persistent controversies associated with the institution. For the royal family itself, managing these reputational challenges has become an ongoing task. The monarchy has traditionally relied on a strategy of limited public response, allowing time and shifting news cycles to gradually move attention elsewhere. But in today's digital media environment, stories rarely disappear completely. Social media platforms allow past events to resurface repeatedly, often bringing new interpretations or renewed scrutiny. As a result, discussions about Prince Andrew, Meghan Markle, and the future of the royal family frequently intersect, even when the individuals involved are addressing very different aspects of public life. Ultimately, the most reliable approach for audiences is to separate confirmed developments from speculation. Verified facts, documented statements, and official reports provide the clearest picture of events. Commentary and interpretation, while valuable for discussion, should not always be treated as established reality. And as the royal story continues to unfold, it is likely that debates over reputation, responsibility, and media narratives will remain a central part of the conversation. As the discussion around Prince Andrew continues to evolve, the situation highlights a broader issue facing the British monarchy in the modern era: the challenge of managing reputation in an environment where every past event can quickly return to the spotlight. For decades, the royal family relied on a traditional approach often described as never complain, never explain. This strategy worked in an earlier media landscape where news cycles moved more slowly and public scrutiny was less constant. However, in today's digital world, that method is increasingly difficult to maintain. Stories resurface on social media, old interviews are revisited, and commentary from multiple perspectives spreads rapidly online. The controversy surrounding Andrew's past associations has become one of the most persistent challenges for the monarchy's public image. Even though he stepped back from royal duties and no longer represents the institution in an official capacity, discussions about him continue to influence how the public perceives the wider royal family. This is where the debate becomes particularly complicated. For many observers, the question is not simply about one individual, but about how the institution as a whole responds to controversy. Critics argue that greater transparency would help maintain public trust. Supporters of the monarchy, on the other hand, often point out that the royal family operates under unique constitutional and cultural expectations that limit how openly it can respond to every allegation or headline. At the same time, the role of Prince Harry and Meghan Markle in the broader narrative continues to generate debate. Since stepping away from royal duties in 2020, the couple has built a new public identity focused on media projects, philanthropy, and advocacy work. Their interviews, documentaries, and Harry's memoir have all contributed to an ongoing global conversation about life inside the royal institution. Because of that visibility, discussions about other royal controversies sometimes circle back to the Sussexes, even when they are not directly involved. Some commentators believe their decision to speak openly about internal royal dynamics changed the way the public evaluates the monarchy. Others argue that it simply revealed tensions that had already existed behind palace walls for years. Meanwhile, within the royal family itself, the focus has largely shifted toward the future of the institution. In that sense, the ongoing debates surrounding Andrew, Meghan, and other royal controversies are part of a larger transformation. The monarchy is no longer operating solely within traditional boundaries of royal reporting. Instead, It exists within a global media environment where narratives can develop quickly and reach audiences far beyond the United Kingdom. Ultimately, separating confirmed facts from speculation remains essential when analyzing stories involving high-profile public figures. Commentary, opinion pieces, and online debates can shape perception, but they do not always reflect verified developments. What is clear, however, is that the royal family continues to occupy a unique position in public life, one where personal actions, institutional tradition, and media interpretation intersect in complex ways. As new developments emerge and public conversations continue, the story of how the monarchy adapts to this changing landscape is likely to remain one of the most closely watched narratives in global media. As the story surrounding Prince Andrew and the wider royal controversies continues to unfold, one reality remains clear. The British monarchy today operates under a level of scrutiny that few institutions in the world experience. Every public appearance, interview, or comment involving members of the royal family is now examined not only by traditional media outlets, but also by millions of viewers across social platforms. This environment has fundamentally changed how royal stories develop, how they spread, and how the public reacts to them. For Prince Andrew, the challenges of reputation management have been particularly intense. Once known primarily for his role as a working royal and his international trade ambassador duties, his public image shifted dramatically after the controversies tied to his past associations. The consequences were significant. He stepped back from official royal duties, lost several honorary titles, and largely disappeared from public-facing royal responsibilities. Yet even after those steps, the discussion around Andrew continues to resurface in media conversations. For the monarchy, this creates a delicate balancing act. On one hand, the institution has attempted to distance itself from the controversy by limiting Andrew's official role. On the other hand, his status as a member of the royal family means the issue can never be entirely separated from the broader narrative of the monarchy itself. Royal analysts frequently point out that this situation illustrates a wider challenge. The monarchy must protect its long-standing traditions while simultaneously adapting to a modern media landscape that demands transparency and accountability. This pressure is not limited to Andrew alone. Over the past several years, the royal family has faced multiple moments of intense public debate, from internal family tensions to discussions about the future direction of the institution. Interviews, documentaries, and memoirs have brought private royal dynamics into public view in ways rarely seen before. For many observers, these developments represent a turning point in how the monarchy interacts with the public. In previous generations, royal narratives were largely shaped through controlled press relationships and carefully managed public appearances. Today, however, narratives emerge from many different sources: journalists, commentators, online platforms, and even the royals themselves. Prince Harry's decision to speak openly about his experiences inside the royal family, particularly through high-profile media projects, added another layer to this shift. Whether praised or criticized, those revelations expanded the global conversation about the monarchy and the pressures faced by its members. Meanwhile, the institution's future increasingly centers on a smaller group of senior working royals. King Charles III has repeatedly signaled his intention to maintain a more streamlined monarchy, focusing public duties on key figures such as the Prince and Princess of Wales. Prince William and Catherine are widely seen as central to maintaining the monarchy's long-term stability and public support. Their approach emphasizes continuity, public service, and a modernized image for the institution. But even with that forward-looking focus, the monarchy cannot entirely escape the shadow of past controversies. Stories connected to former events often resurface, reminding audiences that history and reputation remain closely tied to the institution's present identity. For viewers and readers following these developments, it is important to distinguish between confirmed reporting, expert analysis, and speculation that circulates online. In the end, the royal family story is not just about individuals. It is about an institution navigating a rapidly evolving world. Tradition, public expectation, and global media attention now intersect in ways that continuously reshape the monarchy's public image. And as long as the British royal family remains one of the most recognized institutions in the world, the conversation surrounding its members, its challenges, and its future will undoubtedly